Welcome, everyone. I am thrilled to be here with you today for today's webinar entitled, If I Can, Will You? Closing More Transactions Through Better Understanding. During our brief time together, we're going to delve into the fascinating world of neuro-linguistic programming, which is also known as NLP, and we're going to explore how its linguistic techniques can significantly enhance your abilities as a real estate agent, helping you to sell more homes, well, because you better understand your clients. Now, one of the first things I always like to do is if you're here, you're learning based and you're surrounded by other learning based people, go ahead and take a moment to just type in the chat box or change your name to your name and where you're from. Or if you want to just type in the chat box, put where you're from. You never know who might need a referral from that area. And of course, refer to someone who is learning based like you are. So let's go ahead and take a minute and either put it in the box. I see we got Robert from Northern Virginia in the house, Derek from Austin, Alex from Pittsburgh, Kiss from Paulsboro, New Jersey, Kim from Middle Georgia. Oh my gosh, they're coming in so quick, I can't keep up with them. Sarah from Pennsylvania. We definitely got the East Coast represented here today. And Jerry from Downers Grove, my neighbor. Hi, neighbor. I'm waving to you over there because I am sitting in Chicago. So let's go ahead and get started. So before we dive into the practical aspects of NLP, let's grasp the essence of NLP and its significance in our profession. Neurolinguistic programming, simply put, is a powerful tool that involves understanding how language patterns and communication techniques influence our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. And in the realm of real estate, mastering NLP techniques can be the difference between being a mediocre agent and being a top performer. I mean, have you ever found yourself wondering what someone else is thinking? I mean, rhetorical question, right? Not in a judgmental way, not like, well, what are they thinking? But in a genuinely curious about the thoughts running through their mind way. Well, perhaps you've experienced that moment in a listing appointment where you delivered a stellar presentation, man. You were fire. And yet the potential clients remain poker face, leaving you to ponder, what are they thinking? Well, today, over our short time together, we're going to delve into the power of language and specifically how it shapes someone's internal representations and influences decision-making processes and vice versa. You see, internal representations are the mental images and the thoughts stored in our unconscious mind that were formed by our experiences and are triggered by some information or experiences that we have now. So simply put, something happened that we experienced or observed, and we created a thought, a judgment, a belief around that. And over time, we continue to see the evidence for that belief to be true, and we accept it as a truth for ourselves. So let's take a moment and do a quick experiment. I want you to think in your mind right now, and if it's safe, if you're driving, don't do this. However, if you're sitting someplace safe, go ahead and close your eyes and just picture the color pink right now, whatever that looks like. And now picture a pink shirt. Now picture a pink short sleeve shirt. Now picture a pink short sleeve shirt made of cotton. Now picture a pink short sleeved made of cotton polo style shirt. Now picture a pastel pink short sleeved cotton polo style shirt. And lock in on that visual. Now go ahead and open your eyes. How many times did your internal representation change? Based on what I said, it could be anywhere from 4 to 7 times, depending on, if you pictured pink, light pink right away, and then went right to a pink shirt being a pink polo shirt, then you were there. And yet we know when we're talking to clients that that doesn't happen very often. We think it does. We think, oh, I know exactly what they're thinking. And the reality is, you probably don't. How quickly did your internal representation shift just based on the information I was giving you? Each of us went from whatever pink meant to us to each of us individually picturing some sort of upper body garment in some shade of pink. And for some, it might have been a long sleeve sweater right away, or for others, a t-shirt. Some pinks were light pink, some were dark. Whichever it was for you, it was exactly right and comfortable for you. Am I the only one who has read a book and absolutely loved the book, only to go see the movie and be disappointed? I mean, that's what we're discussing here. The reason that happened is because my personal internal representation of what the author's words were on that page in black and white, my representation of the characters, what they looked like, what they sounded like, the locations, the vividness, the darkness. Well, it didn't align with what the movie maker's internal representation was. I think you're now understanding how words can lead someone in a specific direction, just like I did with you. I helped craft your internal representation. The more specific I came about that pink polo shirt I wanted you to picture. Now, internal representations, they're pivotal because they evoke emotion in people, which drives physiological responses, which means take action, and it shapes behaviors. A same action over time behavior is created, and it's also called a habit. So mastery of language techniques actually enables us to influence others positively, aiding them in aligning decisions with their goals. Language serves as a tool for crafting internal representations, and specificity in that language guides listeners' internal representations, influencing their emotions and therefore their actions, right? We ask logical questions. They go to that story in their unconscious mind, and there's an emotion around it, and then they share that. So, most of you know, you've been to Bold. Logic makes us think, emotion makes us act. So now, as someone who's been teaching language of sales a long time, I know for a fact that there are some of you right now that are skeptical and thinking, well, if I'm influencing their emotions and action, that's absolutely wrong. It's manipulation. I can't be a part of this. I'm not going to manipulate. Time out. Understand the true essence and the true meaning of the word manipulation. The Cambridge Dictionary Online defines the word manipulation as controlling someone or something to your own advantage, often unfairly or dishonestly. Now, when I was describing how to shape someone's internal representation, was I telling you to be dishonest or unfair? Absolutely not. Was it for your advantage? No. It was for the advantage of understanding what the client is thinking so that you can best serve them. So think about this. If you go into every real estate conversation from the standpoint of, I want a paycheck from you, well, then you are acting in a manipulative way because you're doing it for your benefit, not theirs. Here's the thing, though. If you go into those same conversations looking for depth of clarity, and that getting clarity on someone else's internal representations and their belief system and what they think and how they feel, and you're looking for answers that will help the listener move closer to his or her goal to either buy a home, sell a home, invest, whatever it is. And you're looking for the answers so that you can help them do it in a smoother, more efficient manner, then there's simply no manipulation involved. So harnessing this power can foster positive experiences and empower individuals, which creates a ripple effect in business relationships. So how exactly do we harness that power? Well, is it magic? Do we get out our pixie dust and sprinkle it? Well, no. It would be great if it was that easy, but then everybody would be buying pixie dust and then it wouldn't be magical anymore. The way we do it is that we ask powerful questions. Now you may be thinking, well, ask powerful questions, whatever. Here's the thing. Powerful questions, they provide insight by engaging individuals in a thoughtful dialogue. What kind of a dialogue? A thoughtful dialogue. Unlike closed-ended inquiries, which would be yes or no questions, they prompt deeper reflection on the part of the other person in the conversation, and they actually provide clarity-seeking responses. Someone actually has to think about the answer and craft their answer. It's not conditioned habitual respond. It's not right there. It's not I'm walking into a department store and I know I'm going shopping for something and I'm looking for that black pair of pants that I went in there to look for. And the nice person at Nordstrom's comes up to me when I enter the department and says, "Welcome to Nordstrom's. Can I help you find something today?" And I go, "No, thank you, just looking." That's habit. And what's silly about that is I know I'm going to look for something, but they gave me the opportunity to tell them what? No. That's what close-ended questions do. So let's talk about the characteristics of powerful questions. And you may want to write these down. Number one is we want them to be open-ended. We want them to be open-ended, which means, again, they can't be answered with a yes or no. Someone has to think about it and they actually have to provide a deeper level response, which leads to number two, they're thought-provoking. We want to ask questions that cause people to think more. Because the more they think about it, the more opportunity we have to further the relationship and to learn more about them. The third thing, so we've got open-ended, thought-provoking. The third thing is clarity seeking. Clarity seeking. Now, you want to ask questions that give you clarity. So if someone says, for instance, you know what, we really need a house. We really need a house with a big yard. And you go, okay, big yard, boom. Powerful questions that you could ask would be what? Go ahead and take a minute right now. And what would be a open-ended, thought-provoking, clarity-seeking question when someone says, oh, we'd love a house with a big yard? So go ahead and take a moment, type in the chat box what a powerful question could be. And I'll wait for a couple of them to get in there. So we've got who would be using the yard and for what kind of purpose. I love that, Sarah. And that would be what we would call a question stack. I'd separate them apart. You know, what would be the purpose of the yard, or who would be using the yard, and then what would their purpose be? Separate those out. What are your plans for the yard? Do you want a big back and front yard? So Robert, that still doesn't tell us though. That would be a yes or no. Do you want a big back and front yard? Yes. Okay, then the conversation dies. What we want to look at is, what does a big backyard look like to you? And that's Derek put that right in the box. How important is a big backyard? What would having a big yard do for you and your family? Right. We're looking, how big is a big yard, right? Because to me, I live in a condo. I live in a high rise. A big backyard is anything over 5 by 5 that I would have to take care of, right? Or that I could walk the dog in. To someone else down in Texas, where some of you are from, a big backyard might be an acre or 5. Right? So define what it is and what the purpose is, and what would a big backyard mean for you and your lifestyle. This is great. This is great. If you found a house that you love that didn't have the perfect yard. All right. So you guys are going a little deeper on this, and we'll get to that in a moment. So great job on being on being open-ended, thought-provoking, and clarity seeking, right? They can also be, these are like the ands, they can also be solution-based. So sometimes it would be a compound like, how important is a big yard, and what would happen if we don't find it? There you go. What's important about a big yard? And when we find it, are you ready to make an offer? That's a solution, right? We want to get them to a solution. They also start with these words. And in many cases, they will start with these words, and you might want to write these down. Who, what, when, where, or how. Who, what, where, when, or how. Who, what, where, when, how. So here's some examples. What? What makes you say that? Or who? Who specifically could assist us with getting you pre-approved? When would be a perfect time to? How would that work? Help me understand. Do you see how all of those leads to them having to speak more? Did you also notice that tonality is really important when you're using these? We always want to come from a place of curiosity and not a place of interrogation. Because if we come from a place of interrogation, I think of the old police shows from when I was a child of, they got the perp sitting at the table and they've got the light shined in their eye. What makes you say that? Who specifically could assist? When would be the perfect time? That's not what we want to do. These are meant to be conversational, and that shows up in your tonality. But that's a lesson for another day. So when you're ready to gain agreement, after using some powerful questions, you might ask things like, would it help if? Or if I can blah, 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 will you blah, blah, blah? We use those to close the listener and to gain agreement. Now, in all those examples, did anyone notice what word I didn't say? And if you did, go ahead and type it in the box. Derek, quick with the fingers today. And since you got it in there first, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. It's the word why. Now, my mind says, my habitual language says, why do you think I didn't say why? And yet I'm just going to give you the answer. You want to avoid why questions because they tend to elicit a defensive reaction. And they hinder rapport building, or they can break it entirely. So if you're in a newer relationship and you're asking questions and you're asking, well, why do you want this? Why do you want that? Why do you want this? Or, why that? Someone's going to start to feel defensive on the other end. It's just the way we're programmed. I think it comes from as we start to get older and we're around little kids that are constant, like my granddaughter, that are constantly asking, why? It gets annoying. And why puts people on the defensive. So for instance, I'm going to say, let's see, who can I see here? Ben, I see you there, and you don't have to unmute. Thanks, Ben. Ben, if I said to you, hey, Ben, why'd you wear that shirt today? I mean, it could evoke a feeling of why, what's wrong with this shirt? What's wrong with this shirt? And the reality could be, I really like it and want to know where I get it, where I could get one. So you want to be careful and shy away from, build a habit to not use the word why when you're asking your questions, because it's just not powerful. It's actually, again, a rapport killer. So incorporating powerful questions into interactions fosters understanding of others' internal representation, and it allows the other person in the conversation to actually feel like you heard them. Like they aid in guiding individuals towards their desired outcomes and to build stronger relationships between you and them. They feel heard. And when they feel heard, they want to do business with you because they like you. They leave your meeting or your conversation going, man, oh man, that Kara, she really understands me. By asking powerful questions, we gain insights into their perspectives. We put ours on the back shelves and we're focusing on their perspectives. It enhances our ability to assist them more effectively. I mean, this approach cultivates trust and fosters a positive atmosphere conducive to successful outcomes. Whose successful outcomes? Well, theirs, of course. And remember the byproduct of their successful outcome? You earn a paycheck. So as our industry, as the real estate industry, man, it continues to shift and change, you automatically understand the need to create new habits and skills to navigate through it. Your habitual language has gotten you to where you are today. Congratulations. However, it may not be strong enough to get you where you desire to go or to navigate the bumpy waters of the continued shifts in the market. In a dynamic market environment, honing language skills is paramount. As economic factors fluctuate, each appointment, well, it becomes more and more important. There's a heightened significance to those appointments. You guys are fighting so hard to get them. Or maybe it's, maybe it's even getting to the point where how can my language help shape the thinking to actually set an appointment? And then when you fight to get there, you want to actually sign the listing or sign the buyer agency agreement, have the client work with you. That's significant. Mastery of language empowers agents like you to adapt and thrive amidst market uncertainties. And I'm sure you'll agree, we've got quite a few of those out there right now. Understanding internal representations and deploying powerful questions are integral to your success in real estate moving forward. You absolutely understand that embracing language mastery not only enhances business outcomes, it fosters deeper connections with your clients. Now, here's the magic thing about language of sales. I love hearing the stories as someone, again, who's been teaching this for 5+ years to thousands of people. I love hearing the stories about how people have used the techniques in one business. And what really makes me tear up are the messages I get from people that have used these techniques to help foster better relationships personally. Again, we're not manipulating, we're figuring out how to better communicate with the other person in the conversation. So thank you for joining me in exploring the power of language in real estate success. Remember this, mastering language isn't about what you say. It's just as important as how you say it, and that's how you get the strong impact for others. Continue to leverage language to create positive experiences and drive meaningful results. And if you're not sure where to begin or how to continue your language journey, well then, as Ben and Sheila have been putting in the box, join us in MAPS Language of Sales. Thanks for your time today. I look forward to seeing you soon, and I'm going to hang out for a couple minutes and answer any questions. So if you have any questions, you can either put them in the box or you can raise your hand and I'll see you. You'll pop up to the top of my screen. It's been a pleasure to be here today. Lakeisha, go ahead and unmute yourself and let's hear your question.
In one of the examples you gave, it was about, I see, had a red shirt, and you said, why did you wear that red shirt? And you explained why wasn't a good question. What would have been a good question using the words that you gave?
Well, in that case, I probably would have rephrased it altogether to the purpose of me asking the question.
Okay.
So remember, I said the purpose was because I really like it, right? Ben, I love that shirt. What caused you to choose it today? You look so bright and sunny. What was behind you picking that today? Something like that.
Okay,
Be thoughtful in your question as opposed to just asking a habitual question. Why questions become very habitual, which don't require us to think about them. And as my good friend Phil Jones says, you you cannot write, edit, and perform at the same time. And the worst time to think about what to say, and in this case, what to ask, is when you're doing it. So be thoughtful and pause and ask the question that you really want the answer to. And thanks for asking that, Lakeisha. It's a great
That was
question.
great. Thank you.
My pleasure. Anybody else? Question box going once. Question box going twice. Anyone? Well, everyone, thank you again for joining us today. As Miles said at the top of this, it will be on the YouTube channel within the next 24 hours. Thank you so much for being here, and go be powerful in your language skills. And I hope to see a couple of you when we launch Language of Sales on the 23rd. Bye, everyone.